Welcome back to Inside the Box. Today I want to address the question of what do you do if a buyer reaches out to you and asks you to change the shipping address after they've already purchased an item on eBay. They've already purchased it, eBay's giving you an address to ship to, and the buyer's messaging you and saying, hey, I made a mistake, can you ship it to a different address? I'm going to tell you what I think you should do, and then I'm going to back this up with a story of something that recently happened to me. You need to be aware that if you do ship the item to a different address, you are no longer protected with the eBay seller protection. That is what I've heard anyway. That's my understanding. Correct me in the comments below if I'm mistaken there, but you are potentially setting yourself up for a scam because the buyer could have you send the item to a different address, and then they could contact eBay and say, hey, I never got my item, even if you have tracking numbers and it says delivered. If eBay sees that those addresses don't match up, they might have you refund the buyer entirely, and so the buyer gets to keep the item and all their money. So it's potentially a scam, and it's hard to judge because sometimes people are really honest. Sometimes people make a mistake and maybe they just moved and they forgot to change their address on eBay. I have a video all about how to change your address if you need that. But so it's like, okay, is this someone scamming me, or is this someone who legitimately forgot to change their address? What should I do? Should I ship the item anyway? Should I cancel the order? I'm going to tell you my story. I went the canceling the order route, and I'll go into that a little bit more. But I want to know your thoughts in the description box as I talk about this, if you would have done anything differently. So here's the story. I recently had a buyer purchase a book from me, and the next day I got the book ready to ship. So it had already been a little bit since they bought the book, and they paid and everything right away. So I got the book ready to ship, and I put it out in the mailbox for a previously scheduled package pickup. And I came inside and I left a positive feedback for the buyer, because they were really quick to pay me, and that's when I like to leave my feedbacks right after I get the items out to ship. So I come back inside and leave that feedback, and a few moments later, I get a message from the buyer, and I'll put it up here on the screen and I'll black out their address. So they sent me this message saying that they put in the wrong address. Can you fix this? Here's the correct address. And they gave me a different address to send the item to. And right away, my emotions started going off. How do I say this? I've been trying really hard to keep my emotions out of business because this is something that's difficult to me. But I feel like when you put emotions into things, you can get scammed. And I have a video about the time I was scammed on eBay. You guys can go watch that. And the problem was I got too emotional about the situation. I started making up a story in my head about this person and not thinking logically and not thinking about how to protect myself, but thinking about how to please someone else, being a people pleaser. And it got me into trouble in that video, so I didn't want to get into trouble again with a scam. So initially, the buyer asks me to change the address. I thought, okay, great, because the mail carrier hadn't come to pick up the package yet. I had time to void that shipping label, and then I had time to print a new label with this address this buyer was sending me. But somewhere in the back of my head, I was thinking, wait, I think I've heard somewhere about a scam kind of like this, or I've heard other people talking on YouTube, like, don't do this. So before I went crazy and told the buyer, like, oh yes, I can do anything for you, because that's kind of how I default in my customer service, I said, okay, no, let me watch some YouTube videos about the situation, and then I'm gonna think about it a little bit and make a decision. And I was starting to panic a little bit because the mail carrier was gonna come get the package, and I'm like, what if it's not ready? Like, I need to make a decision now. And I had to tell myself, no, calm down. If the mail carrier comes and gets your other packages and not this one, like, you don't live too far from the post office. You can just drive it to the post office and drop it off. I had to remain calm so that I could think clearly in this situation. Let me know if you can relate to this, to this kind of panic attack that I have every time I have to deal with an eBay customer. So I decided to look up the customer's feedback. They had been a member since like 2013, I think. So they've been a member for a lot of years on eBay. but they didn't have any feedback other than the one that I had just left them. And so I didn't know, they didn't have a bunch of positive feedback to back them up. So I'm like, okay, it could be risky. What if I send this item to them and then they claim they never got it and they scam me? I'm out the item, I'm out the money. So I thought about that. And then I watched a couple videos about canceling the order. And if you cancel an order on eBay, if the buyer's not asking you to, if you're canceling it for your reason, it's a ding on you. eBay doesn't like it if you do that too many times. I've only canceled an order one other time, and it's because I could not find the item that sold. And so this time I knew I needed to reach out to the buyer and see if the buyer wanted to cancel the order. So I let the buyer know that based on, I'll put the message here, eBay's policies, I can't ship it to a different address, but I could cancel the item if they wanted me to, and then they could repurchase the item after it's canceled and put in the correct address, and I could send it to them that way. The risk in doing this is the buyer can say yes, cancel the item, and then they can never purchase from you again, which was my case actually. The buyer was, well, here I was panicking a little bit because I sent a message and then the buyer didn't respond for a couple hours. Because I was thinking, okay, I can cancel the order, they can buy the book again, and I can still make it in time for this package pickup. But that didn't happen. I was waiting a couple hours and I was thinking, okay, well, I need to ship the item today because today's my day to ship with eBay. So I don't want to get, a mark for being a day late in shipping. So I'm going to need to cancel this order whether or not this buyer says I can. And there are 3 options when you go to cancel an order. I will do another how-to video on how to cancel an item so you can see the different options when you're choosing to cancel. But luckily the buyer did respond back and they said, yes, go ahead and cancel the order. And so I did. I canceled the order and I replied to the buyer, and I felt bad that this had all happened because at this point I realized, okay, they are communicating back to me. They didn't fall off the face of the earth, so they probably weren't a scammer. It was probably a legitimate mistake. It was not a luxurious item. It wasn't super expensive. It was a math book, like something they probably needed. So maybe they wouldn't have scammed me. Maybe I should have just sent it anyway. And then I started feeling really guilty and bad. And so the next thing I did, I relisted the item. And I told the buyer, I sent them the link, and I was like, okay, I dropped the price a couple dollars because I'm sorry that you had to go through all this, but if you want to repurchase, here's the link. And it's been a day now and they haven't repurchased, so I lost that sale, but I still have my item and I didn't get scammed. And the buyer said I could cancel the order, so it didn't, I don't think it affects me on eBay. Hey, future me editing here. I just want to give you a quick update that the item actually did sell again to the same buyer. I just had to wait a little while longer. It was a few days after the whole incident happened, and of course it was after I filmed the previous footage, that the buyer did purchase the item again at the discounted price that I had offered them. I assumed that they were just waiting for their refund to hit their bank account before they bought again, which is totally understandable. I just wanted to update you to give you hope that if you run into the situation and you have to cancel on the buyer, that you might not be out the item, that they can still purchase it. You just might need to be a little patient. I just need to be a little more patient with the situation. Anyway, back to the main story. So that was my experience of when a buyer asked me to change their address and how I went about it. Maybe every situation's different. That one, maybe it would have been I'm not going to say maybe it would have been okay, because you need to protect yourself and you really can't tell. You can't tell who's a scammer and who's not. But maybe if they would have had a ton of positive feedback, I could have gone off that a little bit. Maybe you just trust your gut. So let me know if you guys would have just sent the item to the new address, because what happened, I didn't get scammed. I still have the item, but I'm out the sale. And now I have the item relisted and I don't know if anyone's going to buy it again. So that's where I'm at with this story, but I thought I would share that, and I want to hear your guys' experiences. Has anyone been scammed like that before? Maybe it doesn't happen. I don't know, but that's where I decided to not worry about the buyer's emotions and feelings. Realize that the buyer did make a mistake when they put in their address on eBay, that it wasn't my mistake, and I did need to protect myself, and I tried to remedy it with the buyer as best as I could. I offered them the item again and a discount. I was as prompt as I could be in communicating with them. So that was my experience, and I hope this video is helpful to someone. If it was, please give it a like and hit that subscribe button if you guys haven't. I will be making 2 more how-to videos to go along with the story. I want to show you how I canceled the order and how I avoided the shipping label, because when I canceled the order, it refunded the buyer, but I wasn't refunded for that shipping. So I needed to go and cancel and void that shipping label to get that money back that I had spent on shipping. So I'm going to have those 2 videos coming out at some point. So make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified. And when I do get them finished, I'll link them in the cards. As always, thank you guys so much, and I will catch you in my next video.